Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today we're back over here in Founder's Forge and we've done a few technical builds, a few farms, and a few exciting gadgets over the last few episodes. Today we're going to switch it up and we're going to do a little bit more landscaping because I think this world needs it a little bit, especially around this area. We're supposed to have a system of interconnected roads and stuff that lead all around the area, but the most I have going from the farmhouse over to the industrial area and where the trading hall is a set of roads that sort of ends here. We got one bridge that ends there, and then it kind of gets missed out in the middle here until it connects up to this section by the farmhouse, where I removed a section that I was growing some crops. I think we had some more wheat and stuff growing here. I actually removed this ages ago, and the leaves and stuff are still there, and I wanted to put in a path, just never got around to it, just never really decided to follow through with that idea. And then, obviously, once it goes through the farmland, we have this path that connects up to the top of the hill here, near the windmill, and there's a few steps and things, a few bits and pieces here and there that will connect the whole thing up, but this still doesn't quite feel coherent. It gets up to here, it stops, and once again, even though there are paths around the town, there isn't really a way that those are connected either. And as I fly around the world here, there are little places here and there that I really feel like deserve connecting up, like the blacksmith's house in the mountains that we still haven't finished the build of, but it's got one of the auto smelters I have built, and I really feel like we could build a few nice little pathways and a few terrain features around here that can really highlight the pathways and help them to stand out. That's some llama, and there's a llama and 3 pigs up there. I feel like the llama is playing the part of the big bad wolf in this. Anyway, yeah, we're going to do a little bit of landscaping today. I really want to do some work around this area, which is going to mean we get to break out a shulker box full of lovely terraforming supplies. Got some coarse dirt and some grass paths. I feel like we're probably going to do the majority of the paths using path blocks, hence the amount of grass that I've got around here. But yeah, we can definitely work on having some paths that wind up the hillside and use the terrain nicely, a little bit more realistically, the way that you would have a winding pathway in the real world instead of a set of 1-meter high blocks that people are expected to jump up to get to a house in the hills. And so I'm going to prepare a few more supplies for that. Most notably, I probably need to grab a ton of leaves because I haven't got a great deal of leaves right now, and I kind of need to build some bushes up here and make it feel a little bit more naturalized in that area. I might even grab some of this podzol as well, although I do have some podzol back at the storage area. But one thing has been on my mind lately, and it's because I've been playing Octopath Traveler on the Nintendo Switch in my spare time, and I really feel like the way that game designs their environments is really cool because it's all from a forced perspective. You don't really get to see things you don't get to rotate the camera. It's not a fully 3D game, but you're moving around an environment that feels very natural, and there are lots of different pathways branching off in different directions, but everything is signposted. Everything feels like it's got a direction to it. There are no paths that are just aimless and lead off to nothing. If they dead end, they've usually got a treasure chest or something at the end of them. So I kind of want to apply a bit of a similar train of thought to this and have pathways that split off, but not be afraid to just build up some features around the pathways that make it feel like it was natural for the road to travel through here. And while I'm farming these leaves from the trees out here, I wanted to ask you guys something, and this is specifically going to be a question for people who are watching this video the week it comes out. Obviously, people who are watching this in the far future, I've probably already made a decision, but Minecraft Earth just came out in early access here in the UK. Basically today, the day I'm recording this, so yesterday when this video goes out, and I'm kind of interested in doing a bit of stuff with Minecraft Earth on this channel. I do want to do some tutorials. I want to return to the same sort of style as my one-chunk tutorial builds that I did a while ago and make some Minecraft Earth micro builds that will fit really well on the build plates that you can get in the Minecraft Earth app. But I'm wondering if maybe Minecraft Earth deserves its own little portion of the survival guide, and even though it's in early access right now, if having a Minecraft Earth survival guide would be a fun way to spend a few videos in this series, to show you guys what's up. Maybe if you haven't had access to the app yet, it might be interesting to you. Maybe in future you'll be able to see quite how much effort goes into acquiring all of the resources in Minecraft Earth. I have played very little of it so far, but I'm planning on making at least like a day one video. So I'm going to put a poll in the iCards, or you folks can just let me know in the comments what you think about having a kind of mini-series within the survival guide kind of like we did with Minecraft Bedrock Edition, but using the Minecraft Earth app and kind of going over the elements of the app and what it takes to survive and thrive in Minecraft Earth. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, vote in the iCards or let me know in the comments section, because I'm excited to see what we're capable of in Minecraft Earth, and I've got some big plans for it. But in the meantime, I'm going to spend a little bit more time off camera harvesting leaves. I want to get a full shulker box of leaves or something like that, just so I've got enough to work with for the next little while. So I'm going to do some off-camera tree farming, and I'll see you guys on the other side. And as the sun is coming up, we can take a look down at this, just because the fact that we have some light sources around the path actually gives it a little bit of extra character. And it's not something that I get to work with all that often with lighting, because so often I am actually sleeping my way through the nights and looking at everything by daylight. But if we look at this from the air quickly before the sun comes up, you can really see the path stand out on its own. And I like the shape of this already. I like the fact that it's a little bit winding, and I do think we should do a bit more of this around the area where there are significant changes in the height of the terrain. Really think about the way the terrain works and how difficult it would be to walk up a 10-meter high staircase and instead focus on making the terrain a lot more, you know, kind to the pedestrian, a little bit easier for people to traverse on foot if they were walking around here, because this is really not all that far from the town. Okay, so I'm back in the world. I've got my camera account logged in, and I'm recording this using the replay mod as well, so we can really get good angles on what we're seeing here, because I think from ground level it's sometimes a little bit difficult to see all of the detail you're putting into it. But rather than go back and forth to the roofs of one of these buildings and spend a bunch of time staring down at this thing, I figured I would cut ahead get a little bit ahead of that by using the replay mod and my camera account, just to see what's going on here in greater detail. So I'm going to pop down these two shulker boxes. We've got some wood, dirt, stone, and leaves in a bunch of these, and I think what we're going to do is start off by, for a start, I need to make myself a crafting table for over here, even though I have tons of these elsewhere. And I'm going to start by making a few oak slabs that we're going to use to make the path step up in various places, mostly just so that it's a smooth ride to walk up here, and we can probably adjust the path a little bit as we go, where I notice that some of these spots are going to be a little bit, a little uneven, a little bit short and shallow. And I think here and there I might dot in a little bit of coarse dirt just to make the transition there a little bit easier, because people are going to be stepping down off of these with muddy boots and so forth. We can start to work in a bit of coarse dirt around here as we go as well. And as we go, we can kind of shape the path around a little bit, just depending on what player movement is going to feel like through this area, and also what the environment demands. I think we could even have this path split off in this direction, going back to what I was talking about with Octopath Traveler, having paths that actually go in a variety of directions, even if that's not the intended destination. We can always have something split off in this direction. Now, around here, I am actually going to fill this section in, because I don't really want this little drop into the water here to be present, to be a real problem. So we'll take that out like so, and we'll start to fill this in. We're probably going to come back through with some stone in a minute and reinforce this mountainside a little bit, this kind of like dirty hillside here, because I want this to feel a little bit more supported by rocky walls and stuff like that, and have it really feel like something you need to walk along this path here to head upwards further towards the blacksmith's house. Once we get to here, we'll add a few more slabs in, of course. We'll throw some coarse dirt next to those just to make the dirt underneath a little bit less visible. I think we could probably manage one there as well. And yeah, as we step up here, steps are going to get a little bit shallow here and there. Just going to do my best to make sure that there is no dirt poking through underneath these wood slabs, so that they look nice and natural going in there. And yeah, I think that'll do. The last little section we need is just going to be here. We'll put a coarse dirt in front of this one, and maybe even have it be visible from the side there as an oak slab. There we go. And that is all of the slabs put in, so now we don't have to worry about jumping up any of the blocks here. It seems like a nice smooth trail, a little bit winding, and we can probably do a little bit of decoration around here. Now maybe place the occasional oak slab off the path here and there, just to make it look like there might be some other trails that have been forgotten or less trodden over. I think oak slabs probably look the closest to the grass path color, so hopefully those shouldn't stand out too much. I guess you could always use spruce or something like that if it blended a little bit better with the dirt for you, or you could choose a different type of wood if you wanted to make it stand out a little bit more. If you wanted to make it look a bit more intentional, you could use some stone slabs or something like that as well. Now for the bridge here, I'm actually going to switch materials and use some dark oak instead, because I think that's going to make the bridge look a lot more intentional, and we're not going to have to worry about the the oak looking like it's just another part of the path. And it's, you know, the oak here is meant to be blending in with the path so it looks a little bit more natural, and it's just a material that we happen to have slabs of. Of course, this bridge isn't going to be anything fancy because, look at it, we don't really have a great deal of space to work with here. There's only a 3x3 area, so I think we'll break down some spruce and dark oak slabs just real quick to get a couple of those in. We could even throw in a spruce trapdoor or two if we wanted to change up the texture a little bit. Yeah, perhaps we'll use the trapdoors either side and just have it raised in the middle a touch like that. Maybe we'll swap that one out for a dark oak slab as well. I'll need to make another spruce trapdoor here, but then that can go on the opposite side. And yeah, this feels like a nice little low bridge. It's not anything too much to be concerned about. The foxes are screeching inside the fox den, which is probably a sign that I need to get some rest, so I'll take care of that. And I guess now we've got polished andesite slabs in the game, I could use those to cap off the posts of this bridge here, just to make it feel a little bit more intentional, a little bit more formal. There we go, not bad. At this point, I'm going to use some stone and some andesite, maybe a little bit of gravel as well, to build up a few rock formations here by the side of the road. And the wonderful thing about these, now that we're in 1.14, of course, is that we have access to natural stone and andesite slabs, which are going to give us a greater variety of things we can do with the stone texture here. We can have it kind of a little bit more jagged, a little bit more uneven. We can use stairs here as well if we want to, but it's going to give the impression of this being a lot more natural than it could look if it was just made out of blocks. Can throw a little bit of andesite in here as well, but they're all going to take the form of these sort of jagged spires a little bit, and the purpose of these is really to act as a bit more of a guide to the direction the path is going here. We're using them to guide the player a little bit more than the structures themselves might let on, because while they might look very natural, you can curve them around the path like this, and that basically prompts the player to travel in a certain direction. And without giving a player a literal signpost, of course, you can guide them in the direction you want them to go by the shape of the path and the obstacles that present themselves around the outside. And that's something that, in looking at the design of the environments in Octopath Traveler, it's fairly clear where you can go and not go, not because of, you know, collision and stuff in the terrain, but just because of the way the terrain is built. You never really think about wandering off track. Of course, there is a flip side to that, which is intentionally creating an environment that leads to a certain direction that looks like it's off the path. So if we have a set of these stones which have a gap in them that the player is automatically drawn to, maybe a torch in the distance, if it's dark, draws them in towards a cave or something like that, that can almost be a reward for the player exploring an area that's off the beaten track. So you might want to consider doing stuff like that, especially if you're interested in map making or anything like that. That's a good means of informing the player's decisions by game design without taking away their agency and making them feel like they're on rails. Naturally, some of these rocks that have been sat around here for a while are going to have a decent amount of foliage growing around them, so we're going to add some leaves and stuff in here as well. Of course, you can bone meal the terrain nearby to get yourself a little bit of tall grass growing up around here, and even bring some flowers in if you want to add a different touch to the place. Once we get up to this point where we have this wall of dirt that's preventing the player from hopping up the hill here, I'm actually going to start to introduce a little bit more cobblestone in the hills around here, and that kind of demonstrates where we've cleared out that lake a little bit there, but I kind of want to create an idea that this is being held up a little bit by stone formations, and to do that we might even have to bring the the top of the terrain up a little bit here and have that supported in the back by this, and then put in some cobblestone slabs, maybe mix in a little bit of gravel, a little bit of andesite to texture it slightly. You have a limited amount of space to work with here, so there are a couple of different approaches. You could either pepper in a whole bunch of detail and make it feel very kind of jagged and that kind of thing, or alternatively, you could go the other way and just make it a plain cobblestone wall or a stone wall in the background here, kind of giving the impression that that's what's holding up the dirt. And the dirt itself can't have a whole lot of variation because you don't get that many dirt slabs, so the options there are fairly limited. You could use different types of dirt or coarse dirt or something like that, or, you know, grass paths like I've done here. There are a few different things you can do. But what I'm now going to do is take a similar approach up here as well. So we're going to have another section of the dirt that comes out a little bit further, artificially increase the size of the terrain here, but give the idea that this is like a rock formation that is piling up on the side of the road here in equal measure further down and further up. Adding in a little bit of mossy cobblestone and some leaves is also going to help this place feel a lot more natural. And remember to try and take care of any stone that's resting on top of dirt. You probably want to take the dirt out and make it look like the stone goes lower than the topsoil around here. I actually really like how this has turned out. It's kind of turned this section of the wall that was otherwise kind of bland and just made of dirt into something of a feature. So just so you can see it on the approach here, I might actually hop down and make some of this area out of the same stuff, just to make it look like there are these shelves of rock that are holding everything up from underneath. Adding a couple of cobblestone slabs or mossy cobble slabs to the tops of these could also create the illusion that those stone structures are poking out from the underside of there out onto the surface, and that they've been maybe worn away by people's feet trampling over this area. Especially if we throw a little bit of coarse dirt around those, that's really going to look special. I'm going to work with this naturally occurring patch of diorite over here and turn that into one of the rock spires that I was talking about. Just kind of build it up towards this side and use that to guide the player in this direction. And once again, this section here could be developed into one of those rocky overhangs, and that's going to really add some character to this section of the hillside. And already you can see the character starting to fill up this section of the world here, just having a path lined with stuff that you can look at, the scenic route that you can take on the way up to the blacksmith's house. But the blacksmith's house still peeks out at the top there. We haven't built anything obstructing the player's view of it as you come up around here. You lose sight of it around this bend, but then it comes back into view, looks big and imposing as you walk up to the front door, which currently doesn't exist, but you know, that's the idea at least. Of course, this area around the lake also presents a prime opportunity for us to do a neat little bit of terraforming here. We can take out some of this dirt that's generated on the underside and replace that with some really nice stone. You can put some andesite in, you can adjust the rock formations here slightly just so that they feel like they are supporting that overhang of dirt a little bit more. I think we'll take out the patch of granite underneath here and replace it with some smooth stone, because that's going to allow some mossy cobblestone to really stand out from it. And I think mossy cobblestone is going to look really nice in this underwater setting here, so we'll try and work that in from the sides here where some waterborne plants might be more likely to spread. Of course, the wonderful thing is we can work in a few of those as waterlogged slabs as well, and that's really going to add a lovely, authentic feel to this whole place. Not to mention building up a few rock formations above the top here, and that's going to allow us a nice backdrop to place some leaves and have those dangling down into the pool, really giving the sense that this thing is a little overgrown. Let's not forget, of course, that adding a little bit of bone meal to the bottom there is going to grow some seagrass, and that's really going to complete the watery look of this place. We could even, if we wanted to, throw in a tropical fish, because I have one of those apparently, and yeah, there you go, an exotic fish swimming in the pool. Seems a little bit out of place. Maybe you could bring some salmon or something up here if you wanted to, but I think having a tropical fish in there just creates a little bit of interest that allows the player to stop and go, oh wow, that's kind of unique, as they're on their way up to this. It's going to be a little bit distracting from the house, but that's kind of alright by me. We can also use the bone meal to make sure there is a little bit of grass by the side of the road, and don't forget you can use the shears to trim the grass and place it on some of the coarse dirt where you can't naturally grow grass already. It's also possible to plant a few flowers here and there, and I'm going to say that the guy in this house really likes the blue of cornflowers and the white of the lily of the valley here, because that kind of goes with the roof a little bit, it goes with the walls, and some nice thematic colors getting brought into the build a little bit here. So I'm going to put some cornflowers and stuff up around here. Maybe he maintains them, maybe they grow wild, but it's kind of nice to add a touch of color around this place. The last bit of terraforming we're going to do is this patch here, which really does deserve to be a little bit more than just a dirt mound. So once again, we are going to give it the same treatment. We're going to put a bit of a cobblestone cave in here and hollow it out slightly just to make the overhang a little bit more pronounced like that. We'll also do something a bit more basic to enhance the back of the cave structure here, because while I don't want to go overboard on the details around this other side, it really does feel like it needs a little bit more stone holding up this section rather than it just being a straight up mountainside. And so I think all in all, that is pretty much all I wanted to do with this hillside. We have turned it from a fairly bland grassy hillside into a feature-rich winding pathway that ultimately guides the player to their destination at the top of the hill. It feels immersive, it feels scenic, it feels like something that belongs in the real world, packed full of detail, but with the same old Minecraft blocks that we've been using this entire time. And here is the finished result. I'm super happy with this. I think it turned out really, really nice. And I want to add in this level of detail elsewhere in the world as well, because there are so many grassy plains and different areas that we can turn into features like this. I love the fact that you can still see the peaks of the roof of the house poking through there, but as we walk up here, like I said, the path and the stones to either side kind of guide you up here, and this definitely feels a little bit more like the winding path you would take to get to a house on a mountaintop, instead of just having a simple staircase taking you up here. It's not about efficiency when it comes to this stuff, it's about atmosphere, and I'm happy to say that I think we've created a really nice atmosphere for this hillside now. It definitely leads up to something like this and kind of encourages me to get this build done, to be honest with you. But I'm going to sign out there. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Bit of a different one today, bit of a landscaping one. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on the episode, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.